Anyways, let's talk about some other shit. Let's talk about the Japanese weeaboo garbage, such as Mono no Nana. But first, I'm Brandon,
I'm Nick.
and this is like episode one text whatever.
Yeah, as you can tell, we're really good at this.
Not again.
We're a
Fantastic one.
high quality podcast here at ABC.
Super high quality. I'm using a microphone that I bought 10 years ago, and it's kind of broken, but it's still running.
And it records every sound his keyboard makes, and it doesn't fucking annoy me every time we play video games. Definitely not.
Well, just have to deal with it. Anyways, let's talk about
Get a
Mono no
studio
Nana.
quality mic.
They're expensive.
Okay, we'll just leave that one there and let's talk about Mono no Nana.
So we continue the situation with the weirdo necrophiliac girl.
Yeah.
And what we're gonna, we're trying. Nana's trying to figure out how she can get out of the situation where she's pinned down by essentially the Hulk in a teenage boy's body, and crazy girl who's like willing to basically kill her.
So this is the thing that I just want to point out. They say that like he's the Hulk in the teenage boy's body. We never actually see him be the Hulk at any point, really. Other than when he holds down Nana and she's like, "Oh, I can't get up because he's so strong." Like we don't actually see him like rip a door off its hinges or like break through a wall or do any other like Hulk shit. I was kind of upset.
I mean, there's like good reasons for that, because like it becomes the whole cat and mouse chase of this episode becomes less about strength and more about who can trick the other better.
Right,
And
but
like
still,
strength,
like we've got to see everyone else use their powers, and we have this kid who's fucking, the Hulk, and we don't
well,
get to
here's
see
the
him use his
counterpoint.
power.
Everyone else is alive.
That's not
What?
true. We see the fucking the I've got cat eyes. See night vision kid who's a zombie.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I mean, he's the only zombie we see with his powers, but there's the one. Still, I just want to point out we
I mean,
never see him be
yeah,
Hulk, and I was upset. I wanted to see him fucking be the Hulk.
Hulk out and break some heads,
Yeah,
or pull out some walls.
do a
Yeah.
Saitama like throw a punch, destroy a mountain.
Regardless, she's pinned down and she's trying to figure out how to get out of the situation. So basically, she kind of starts. Um, tries to get the upper hand in the situation by basically telling the girl like, "Hey, like understand that right now in our situation, people will be more suspicious of you because I can tell people that you're trying to fuck your dead boyfriend,
Yeah,
and like that's
not
such a
not trying
shock."
to. Are fucking your dead boyfriend
Yes, that you're fucking
is
your
what
dead
it
boyfriend.
was. Way darker, way fucking more
Yeah.
fucked up of a thing to throw out there.
Right.
Probably accurate, but still.
But given that, like, that she is fucking the dead boyfriend, like, they're more likely gonna believe that she's the killer versus Nana,
Right.
because Nana isn't fucking her dead boyfriend.
Yeah.
So that's able to give her like, another step forward, to try and get out of the situation, and eventually she's able to convince what's her face? I don't remember her name.
I don't remember her name either.
Necromancer girl, that she will help her talk to the kid's soul, because she's got the mind reading powers.
Yeah, and if I focus,
And,
I can speak to the mind of the dead.
And the necromancer believes her, so she tells what's his face, dead boyfriend, to get off of her, and she begins to do her little song and dance where she tries to figure out what the necromancer kid is saying. And she says, "You should have killed me," and then she runs away.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have the necromancer talk to herself with the mouth of her dead boyfriend. Still not creepy every time it happens, I swear. But they decide, like, oh, because she believes that, like, this is actually her dead boyfriend speaking to her from beyond the grave, like, he genuinely wants us to go kill Nana, because that's, like, the best thing to do right now, so we need to go kill her. So they run out immediately into the dark to go track down Nana. Nana, meanwhile, sort of leads them on, like, a little, now that I've gotten out, I need to lead them somewhere to, get one over on them. Yeah. Because, much like I predicted last time, the whole I need to have relics of my dead friend in order to control him kind of thing was pretty predictable. Nana saw it. Nana kind of knew, like, I need to figure out what her relic is of the boyfriend. And the most obvious thing is the necklace hanging around her neck.
Yeah, of the boyfriend's ashes.
Yeah. Which, okay, first of all, it can't be his ashes. That doesn't make any sense. He's standing right there. He doesn't have ashes.
But it's supposed to be in the show itself. It's supposed to be his ashes, right? I'm not wrong. I'm not.
That's what she said. She's like, "Oh, is that your
Okay,
boyfriend's remains?" And I was like, "But those can't be his remains because his body is right fucking there."
okay.
Like, there aren't remains. There's just the dead kid. Unless you're saying she like carved off a piece of him and has it inside of the necklace. But
You
still,
know,
that was just fucking weird.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
You're
That's
right.
what they said
Yeah.
in the show was it was his remains, but that doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Which is a little weird because Nana doesn't like really pick up on that either.
Yeah, Nana in no way acknowledges it because she goes for the necklace, like she hides in a bush and by like saying words, brings the necromancer over there, and then she jumps out of the bush and makes a grab for the necklace, and
Misses.
misses, and the necromancer like summons her boyfriend, and Nana runs off again. Uh, so they kind of just spend the night like running through the woods together as Nana like tries to figure out what she's gonna do and try to get the piece of the necklace that is keeping her dead boyfriend, keeping the dead boyfriend active. But then Nana realizes that, like I mentioned earlier, there are all these other zombies out and about,
Yep.
which is
Well,
now another development.
there's a bunch of objects under her bed, which clues us into the fact that there are zombies about, and that's when we get the reveal of the dark vision guy,
Yeah,
and then the teacher too. I think it's supposed to be.
yeah. There's a teacher and one or two kids at first. I forget.
There's a couple of kids.
There's a
There's
couple
supposed to be a
kids.
couple kids at the house.
Yeah,
But Nana brings up the committee and stuff like information that she should have been told, like about what happened in the woods and like what
right.
happened prior, but she just isn't. She knows that this has happened before her.
hmm
Like there's been another class where this has happened.
I don't know if she
Well,
does
like
know that. I
she
guess.
did because she was told that the talented were being like basically just imprisoned here.
Yeah,
Not to their knowledge that they were in prison, but like they were just
I guess.
basically
Yeah,
corralled to
she
this
she knew that there was a
island.
predecessor, but she didn't know like what happened with them or like what they
Right.
did.
Because now she's theorizing that there may have been like some sort of talented civil war
hmm
where they just kind of started getting each other's throats. But like once again, she doesn't know, and I feel like this would have been important and pertinent information for the community to tell her.
Yeah,
Which makes me think there's something, this is like our first clue into like something's off about her mission.
right.
Aside from the fact that she has to kill a bunch of kids,
Yeah.
something else is off.
I still wanted it to be like the committee wasn't lying and just have the show be about like Nana has to come to like moral grips with what she's doing as time goes on. Because like we
I
kind
mean,
of
it's
see it at the
possible.
end of like at some point you start to just know more about these people and you're like, I'm actually like killing a human being. Like this is just some asshole that I'm like killing because they're a murderer or something. Like this is a real person that I'm murdering right now.
That could still be the case, and it's just and further, like the committee could have just been like, we don't care. Like, all you needed to know is you need to kill the kids. Who the fuck gives a shit what happened before?
Right.
Just the fact that there was a necromancer was just kind of bad luck for you. So suck it, go away, keep killing them. So like in that case, there's nothing, there's no conspiracy behind the committee. The committee's just kind of an asshole.
Right.
Which I mean, we already know this.
Yeah. Very on brand for the committee.
Yeah, but Nana finds a little hut out in the woods because that's a thing. I'm
Yeah.
not sure why there's a hut in that. So I didn't think about this during the show while I was watching, but yeah, there's just a hut in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, there's just some random cabin with like a bed in it.
Yeah, there's also a bed. There's I think a couch too.
There's a couch maybe and like a dresser, I think. Weirdly, there's like a fucking square chopped out of the middle of the door. There's a lot that's weird about this cabin or like whatever small house.
Right. Um, but there she like tries to like her gears start turning and she tries to figure out what she needs to do, and that's like she basically is trying to resolve herself to basically beat Necromancer Girl. Because if she gives up, then she's basically admitting that the talented are like better than her, and
hmm
she doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So she goes off, or she can't think of the fucking word.
She uh decides to shore up her defenses essentially.
She tries to show her defenses based on like her hunch
Yeah.
of how to beat the Necromancer Girl.
Because
The
she
hunch,
noticed that the dead boyfriend never makes an appearance while the sun is out, And there was some other part of the hunch, but that was the major component, was the dead boyfriend never makes an appearance when the sun is out. Oh, everyone else has some like weird weakness that doesn't really make sense. It's like you can't really just use logic. Like there's no logic to where your weakness is as a talented. And so
Which
she
is a little weird
assumes.
because I thought you said, yeah, there's always a logic behind the talented. Maybe I
I'm
just
pretty sure she
misread
said
it.
the other way. I think she says there's never a logic.
I could have misread it. But anyways, yeah, that's her guess, is that it's because of the light, because of the morning.
Hmm.
So she hedges her bets. She posts up in the hut and waits for the necromancer girl to come by, who basically says, "Hey, I can just tear down the fucking door, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave you in there, and I'm going to come back tomorrow because
Yeah,
the sun came out,
you're
and
stuck in
spirits
this
are fine."
thing. I can lock the door from the outside. Why bother killing you myself? And like, when I'm not super powerful and you're just, a murder crazy bitch, I'm gonna wait for tonight and then have somebody come in here and fucking murk your
Yeah.
ass.
It was after scaring her with the zombies inside the house,
Right.
which I want to figure out how it actually works. Like her weakness works. Is it like from X time to Y time, or that the sunlight has to be hitting like the dead body? Because like it's in a hut and like there wasn't a lot of windows.
I mean, but there was the one window in the direction where the sun was rising. Although that
Yeah.
implies that like after sunrise, those zombies could be active again. So like, why didn't the girl just skip school that day and like wait until noon and then wake up the zombies because the light wouldn't be shining in anymore? It's a good
Yeah.
question how her thing actually works.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to
Um.
assume it's like X time to Y time.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. It's the most consistent.
Yeah.
But also, like, how far does like her power go? Like, how far can she like wake people up? Hmm. Because I know,
Oh.
because she's mentioned that she can see what they're seeing through
Hmm.
the dead body. So like, you wouldn't really have. She wouldn't really need to go back to the hut. You just wake up the zombies that were already in the hut.
Maybe she didn't
Cool.
trust those three girls to like not be, like if I was Nana and trapped in the hut, like the first thing I would do if I was trapped in the hut is chop those three zombies into pieces. They couldn't do anything.
Possible, yes. But now Nana's trapped in the hut. Necromancer girl is sleepy in the classroom, and Kira comes up and asks her where the fuck Nana is. Necromancer girl is like, I don't fucking know, dude. Leave me
Right.
alone. And Kira's like, all right, fine. I'll believe your girl talk. Also, what's girl talk?
Incidentally, ends up giving Nana like a good alibi almost of like, people from this class are randomly going missing, and now Nana's the one missing.
Yes, but also she has mentioned that she's been talking to Nana, and now is going to turn up dead the next day.
It's true, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It's one of those things that's just like the edge of, because she's not going to turn up dead because she's gonna take the fucking dive off the cliff here in a second. So her body's gonna go missing, just like the first kids did.
Right, okay. So, but that's another thing. Someone else is missing after talking to Nana. Recently, Nana's been missing, but she's the only one that turns up. So I feel like this is a little bit worse for her.
Maybe we'll see how she plays it.
We'll see. We'll see how she plays, and we'll see how Kyoya, reads into the situation.
Uh huh.
But school ends. Necromancer girl waits for the night, goes over to Nana, and tries to figure out where she is, because she goes into the hut and she's not there anymore. Recently, we did see that one of the zombies kind of has pink hair and looks a little bit like Nana.
Hmm.
At first, I thought that maybe Nana was going to, pretend to be the dead body. I was bamboozled. It's just the dead body.
Yeah.
It's just the corpse. Because Nana's actually just fucking dipped out of the hut because
Yeah.
she pretended to close the door.
Yeah. The pretend to hide as the dead body thing seemed too predictable. I didn't think she was gonna be that dumb. Of like, I'm gonna lay on the floor and they'll be convinced it's me. There was like zero chance that was gonna work.
Yeah. Anyways,
I mean, there was like literally the first thing you would do if you walked into what you thought was a locked room and there was a pile of dead bodies on the floor. The first thing you would do is like, I'm gonna check all those dead bodies to make sure they're all actually dead bodies. Literally the first thing you would do. You wouldn't be like, huh, they were in this locked room with no way out, nothing seems to be broken, and there's these three dead bodies on the floor. I'm not going to look at any of these. Let's go outside. The first thing you do is like, let me check those three dead bodies.
how would you check them? Would you like
You
lean
would just
down and
roll
like?
them over. You would kick them. You would kick them
Oh,
over
you
with your like
fucking
fucking with the shoulder with your boot with your shoe.
damn! That's a good way to get a fucking broken tendon. Fucking slice off your Achilles tendon with a box cutter.
Okay, why
Ooh,
did she
Nick.
throw
Now
that box cutter? By the way,
Did she throw the box cutter?
She didn't, but I was
Oh,
like she went for the stab through the bars of the window, but like didn't have enough time. Like it didn't have enough space. Why did she throw the box cutter then?
then she's out of fucking box cutter.
She didn't
Actually,
need
she's
the
gonna
box
rip.
cutter.
I don't know. I'd like to keep a box cutter on a person. Like that's given that you're trying to kill people, just keep a box cutter.
If I could
Handy.
fucking knife throw a bitch in the eyeball, I would knife throw a bitch in the eyeball. Especially if you knew that like as she was walking away, you knew you were gonna be able to get out in a second. I would throw the fucking box cutter.
I don't know if that would work.
It's not about it's
Uh,
working. It's about just like doing something with the box cutter that you don't need.
Xbox Service gonna come back, Nick. You watch.
I mean, but then she would
Anyways,
just go outside and pick it up when the girl was gone. Like you're not throwing it away. It's not
she
gone
could pick
after.
up the box cutter.
It's not,
The Necromancer girl.
I mean, she could also not pick it up because she's carrying her dead boyfriend.
It's like she could just put it in her fucking pocket.
She's gonna dump the dead boyfriend on the ground to pick up the box cutter, put it in her pocket, and then pick up the dead boyfriend again, and then go home.
Why wouldn't you? So, some bitch just trying to
Because
fucking
why
throw a
would you
box cutter at
bother?
you. Someone just threw a box cutter at you. You're not gonna let them have the box cutter back, even if it's
You're
like,
not gonna let them have the box cutter back because you're not gonna give it to them. As far as she knew, Nana was trapped in the room with no way to get to the box cutter. She threw
I
it.
would have just put that box cutter in fucking
I
the
would
pants
not
bin.
have fucking bothered to put down the person to pick up the box cutter that she wasn't going to be able to get to put in my pocket so I could pick the dead body back up. After I've got that dead
Anyways,
body on my shoulder, I'd be just fucking, I'd be like, I'm going home. I'm not putting this shit down. I'm just going straight the fuck home.
the Tom and Jerry episode begins again, where what's her face? Necromancer girl is now trying to look for Nana once more.
Yeah.
Um,
Not very Tom and
she-
Jerry. It's just looking around in the dark fruitlessly. It eventually becomes morning, and lo and behold, nothing is found. So Necromancer Girl starts walking back home, and this is where Nana makes her move because now Necromancer is powerless. Essentially, she's just
Yes.
a regular person.
She's just holding up a dead body.
Yeah. So Nana basically mugs her and takes what she has realized is the actual relic of the dead boyfriend, which is some scraps of paper that she has in her back pocket
Something in
from
her,
the torn up test that was from the story about the boyfriend like 2 episodes ago when we were explaining like how much of a fucking weirdo he was. So Nana uses this now as leverage to basically force the Necromancer girl to carry the dead body of her boyfriend out to the cliff. At which point Nana basically just gets her needle case back because she doesn't want to have, she doesn't want to not have her poison needle after she spent so much time poisoning a needle. And then she kind of
and also because it's good evidence to keep on your person.
right.
Like, you don't want it to go out.
It's useful.
Yeah, that's it.
And then she has a little conversation with the Necromancer girl as we find out the true backstory of the Necromancer girl and her dead boyfriend. Where
yes, but first we throw away the paper.
Well, yeah. First we throw away the paper as the Necromancer girl like figures out like how bad her life is and everything is horrible, and she looks up and the paper's gone. And then we find out the true backstory of the dead boyfriend in that her story of everything they did didn't quite add up in terms of like, oh, the day was wrong because he said it was a weekend but he was wearing a school uniform, and you described like you got drinks and he got drinks and the person next to you had a drink and somehow there was only the 2 cup holders, and you described like drinks spilled on you from every location, so like that just didn't work out.
There's some other inaccuracies with her story as well.
Yeah.
But basically it comes down to the kid wasn't her boyfriend. Some other girl was going out with him. She was a stalker, and she started the fire.
Yeah, the Necromancer girl was a stalker, and she started the fire, and the boyfriend hated her while he was alive, and so the relic.
Her, or did he say that? Or did she say that? Or
She
did,
said that.
Nana say that?
No, the stalker said that. The stalker said
Okay.
that the kid hated her and didn't really like want to be around her, and that's why the relic was the torn up test, because she wanted to have a better relic, but that was like the only one she could get her hands on.
Right.
So yeah, it's
which is kind of weird because she has the body. Like, she could have just chosen anything off the body.
Yeah, maybe it had to be like something that she took while they were alive. I don't know.
It could have been also that it's so she did mention it has to be anything they touched.
Right. I mean,
maybe he just didn't have anything else. Like, maybe it's just his clothes.
Right. Maybe it was also like stalker logic of like, I've taken this from you, now it's mine, and therefore a relic, and I will cherish this forever. I mean, why do we have to put logic in stalker? Fucking crazy. She was insane, and that was the end of that.
Membrane. And then we kill her with the poison needle.
It's upsetting how often that that's the like end, description of some woman in animes. So bitch was crazy.
There's a lot of crazy, crazy ladies out there,
I mean, there
specifically in
are.
anime.
There are a lot of crazy ladies in anime. I'm just pointing out that there's a discrepancy there. If there's not an equal number of like dudes where you just look at and you're like, that dude's just straight up crazy.
I think there is, but like they're never really ever main characters. They're usually like jokes, right? Not jokes, but like there's that one episode where the girl's getting stuck and it's a weird weirdo creep, and that's the only episode he shows up in. It's like for 5 minutes. Whereas this one, it's
Okay, yeah.
they're more of a character.
I guess yeah, crazy dudes fall more into like the creepy. I
And I
guess
guess
I
if you
guess crazy girls also kind of fall into the creepy. I mean, Stalker Necrophiliac was super creepy.
right, it's just that we get to
It's just
learn about
yeah.
creep more than like the other guy. It's just like the little circle eyeglasses. They've
Hmm.
got the poster on the back. They're fat and ugly.
Yeah.
Um, and that's that, or they're skinny and ugly.
Oh,
Um, and like that's the creep, right? That's all there is to it.
right.
But then with the girl creeps, you usually get to know them a bit more.
Yeah. I guess yeah, maybe that's what it is. They we get to know more about them when they're a female character, and so it just feels a little bit different.
And we also have like your weirdo psychopath guys as well. There's like
Right?
a
Yeah.
fuck ton of them.
Like
But
Dr.
anyway,
Danny.
God, you should have said cutthroat. But the episode ends. At the end of the story, after basically revealing creepy soccer girl's story, Nana kind of like tries to wonder whether or not she would have actually, you know, kept her alive because she didn't actually throw away the note or the test.
Mm,
She kept it. And I'm assuming like what the implication was that maybe she would have let the girl stay alive had the story been true.
yeah.
But towards the at the end of the episode, she says probably not. She Nana says to herself, "I wouldn't have probably kept her alive," and then she throws away the test anyways.
Right.
But there's like
There's a
now
moment there where she's
yeah,
like,
there's this internal conflict in her that
right.
we see blossoming, maybe possibly.
Hmm. Which I think is good.
It's yeah, it's not enough just yet. It has to happen a bit more than just this one time.
Right.
She needs more of these decisions, but we'll see.
It's a start though.
It's yeah, it's an inkling. It's an inkling. There's something there that could be expanded upon.
Hmm. But now Nana has to return to school. San's two classmates. Um,
Yes.
so we're gonna see how Kyoya takes that and the development that yeah, another person has gone missing and her weird dead boyfriend.
After hanging out with Nana.
Right. We still have the dog girl as like the ultra
Extra
alibi.
life.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I like the Nana's line about having a dog. She's a cat person. She has enough dogs.
yeah.
Ooh, Nana spitting fire.
Yeah. Right before she gave her the
Although
needle
I gotta
stab.
say, the like necromancer power would have been super fucking useful if you would be able to control that girl.
It's true.
Because then you could kill people, keep them alive for a little bit longer, and then before you know it, it's a game of zombies instead of a game of Among Us.
I mean, I don't know if I would trust the necromancer though.
No, she's fucking crazy. Like, there
Yeah.
wouldn't have been any. There would not have been a good way to control her
Yeah. Um.
or manipulate her. Might be a better word.
But what? So yeah, we found out with the resurrection of all of like the decaying corpses that one of the dead was a teacher, and like that
Mm-hmm.
kind of
That's
goes
suspect.
against my theory of the staff is in on it. Because I'm assuming those were all killed by like the predecessor. I mean, maybe it was a talented civil war, but maybe
But
it
like,
wasn't, and like maybe the
I
staff
didn't think
isn't
it
in
was a
on it.
theory. I thought like the show explicitly said that the teachers were in on it.
I thought it did too.
I don't know.
I
Something
thought
could have
they
happened.
said at some point like the teachers knew like what was up,
Okay.
but then like why was the teacher dead there? Unless it was like the island just like fucking murdered each other, like Lord of the Flies style.
I do hope they explain it, because it is like an interesting situation. I hope they don't just gloss over it as
I
they're
think
like,
they
oh,
will
it's just a teacher.
because Kyoya has the sister who's like his
Hmm.
younger sister, I think, but was at the island first.
Could have been that girl, the pink haired girl. No. Maybe
Maybe.
we kn- we know that Kyrie has, I think, said that she had similar hair to Nana.
I thought he was maybe. I thought he was describing like the feel of it. Maybe he meant
Yeah.
like the whole color too.
Who
Who
knows?
knows?
But we will see.
Yeah, we'll see if we see a picture of her, and Nana will be like,
If
"That
it
was
really
that
is
girl who
Nana.
attacked me when she was a zombie."
Yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah, so I'm assuming we will at some point deal with the what happened here before stuff because that's what Kyoya's here for. He's not here to
So
just
cool.
be fucking Sherlock Holmes all the time. He is here to like investigate the disappearance of his sister.
Exactly. Now, speaking of Sherlock Holmes, Nick, you had your wish granted.
Yeah, we got Sherlock. He finally
Um,
showed up.
yeah, and Moriarty the Patriot.
Yeah.
And Sherlock in this story, isn't like asocial like he is
Yeah.
in
In Sherlock and Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle and all that stuff. Yeah.
well, I was thinking more of the BBC show because I'm gonna
That's
compare it to the
Sherlock.
BBC show because that's the one that I'm familiar with. I can't
Uh-huh.
speak to the books. You can, but I can't.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that they write him this way. Because he fits Moriarty. Our Moriarty is different from the Moriarty from the other shows from the BBC show, and I assume also the book, right?
Yes.
In that way, you have to have Sherlock be a foil, and part of that is making him like more charismatic, I guess, to kind of like combat the charisma of Moriarty as well.
Yeah, I guess so. That would explain it. Yeah.
But they still both have. He still has kind of that like he actually doesn't care about people. He just like wants a cool little puzzle to solve.
Yeah.
Because like he doesn't care about the women that he was talking to. He just cares that they were being impressed.
Which is weird. That's also like not a Sherlock thing. Sherlock doesn't care about women. Like
Yeah.
in the Arthur Conan Doyle books, like
Well, here's the
anytime
thing.
he's
I would say.
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. You go
Uh,
first.
okay. In the Arthur Conan Doyle books, it's very he's very like not stilted. Like he interacts with them normally, but like he doesn't care about them. And that's
Jaded,
that's the
maybe.
thing of that's when Irene Adler shows up. Is Irene Adler is like the first time where Sherlock is ever like intrigued by a woman is Irene Adler, and that's like what's significant about her in the books.
Okay. For the show, I would say he wasn't interested in the women. He just wanted to show off, not like to anybody, not to women specifically. We don't know that yet because we haven't seen him interact with men.
Right.
So my theory could be completely baseless.
Mm. So we will
Um,
see the next time he shows up if he's just a womanizer or if he is just a like I want to flex on people.
exactly. Because it did seem like he just wanted to flex on Moriarty when he was like trying to figure everything out. Which
Right.
Moriarty's retort to that is to just say, "I knew all these things about you because I'm not a fucking idiot." That was his like reasoning. Well, after we hear Sherlock's reasoning for like 2 minutes straight about all these different like logical steps, Moriarty says, "Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not that important. I just
I
knew."
was kind of upset with the translation there because like Moriarty comes out with like his little thing of like you play the violin and this, that, and the other thing. I don't remember what the other ones were. And it ends with like, oh, I know this because it's obvious, and I was upset that it wasn't because it's elementary.
Oh, you wanted that little play? Does he
Yeah.
actually say it's elementary? Because I know. So I'm actually going to bring up Hololive for a very specific reason,
Hmm.
and that's because Polka and all the rest of the Holly Girls had this that had the Among Us collab with Ian and the Gen 5 girls, and Polka says it's elementary, but in Japanese, like the Japanese way of saying it.
Uh-huh.
Was she saying it the same way?
I don't know.
Right.
So I didn't actually look at like what the actual like words he used to see if like it is actually him saying,
The famous catchphrase.
yeah, the
That's
Sherlock
translated
line
to
as
Japanese.
it's written in Japanese.
Yeah.
I just know based on like the translation that was given in
Yeah. He just say it's
English
obvious.
was it's obvious.
So like maybe I will look back at that scene and look back at the polka little clip and see if they match up.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, if it was that phrase, then I would be a little upset that they didn't say it's elementary or didn't
Right. I mean,
translate it as
if it was
elementary.
that phrase, like props to them for throwing in that like reference coming from
Yeah,
Moriarty and not Sherlock.
kind of further cementing that Moriarty is like the person we're following
Right.
in this story.
it may also be like a indication of like Moriarty already knows who Sherlock is, as he's like taunting him with like, "This is the thing that you say."
Oh yeah, we haven't
Um,
really like talked about Sherlock at all, so he may have been already a thing at this point in the story, or not the
yeah,
story, but in the world.
hmm
We just weren't told through it. We just weren't shown it just yet.
right,
It could have been. It could be like something that Rory already talks about next episode. Where like, hey, I met Sherlock. He's gonna
right,
fuck shit up.
yeah. Because he talks about, I remember some of the other ones. He mentions the fact that like, oh yeah, you're from like a house of high upstanding, and you care about your mom's side of the house or mom's side of the family more than your dad's side of the family, and you're addicted to morphine, and I forget what the other one was. I think there was one more. But, like he comes out with like a few like,
Yeah, he's like a working man. I think he
yeah,
says.
oh yeah. So he comes out with, like a few big Sherlock things of like, these are both the like Sherlock things of like what you would recognize from like the Sherlock character, and at the same time like indications that I might know you, of like you belong to this like the Holmes family, and like that's a recognizable name at that time.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But that's what this happens actually in the middle episode. So let's bring it back a little bit
Yeah.
and find out what the episode is actually about, because it wasn't about meeting Sherlock at all.
Yeah, and it wasn't about the
Uh,
Hound of Baskervilles like I had hoped. We're actually doing the Most Dangerous Game instead.
is that a joke about Predator?
No, it was
Is it actually called the Most Dangerous Game?
yeah, the book, The Most Dangerous
Okay,
Game. It was not
so it's
a
like,
it wasn't a Sherlock Holmes book.
oh,
It was the it was a book
it's
about
not even Predator.
a dude who uh
Yeah, hunts people.
yeah, the main character like crashes on this like private island, and he meets the like the owner of the island, and it turns out yeah, the owner of the island wants to hunt people. Cuz that's it literally starts out with a dude hunting another dude in the forest.
I know it. I think a rough adaptation of the book is Predator, but like I think there's other
Maybe
movies.
I kind of
No,
think yeah, you might be right. I think the original like uh pitch for Predator was The Most Dangerous Game but with
with an
aliens.
alien.
Yeah,
But there's another movie I think that like more directly adapts it. I forget what it was. I think it was just called The Most Dangerous Game. Maybe with Burt
possibly.
Reynolds, mostly because Archer like makes a reference to it.
Yeah. I did just think of that, as I'm pretty sure Richard does reference The Most Dangerous Game, and
In
probably a
the
reference to
episode
Burt
where that
Reynolds.
happens with where Cyril follows them into the field.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, one of the noblemen is basically hunting just people out in the fucking woods and killing them.
Yeah. Because he
And
sees
that's
himself as like a
higher
chosen member,
higher
yeah,
being
a
type
higher
shit.
being.
And this is the cold open. After the cold open, we get the actual introduction into the episode where we figure out that now this episode we're starting basically the master plan that Moriarty has, and that is to basically throw London into basically like crime, into a chaos basically, and specifically in ways that show the nobility to be absolute pieces of shit,
Yeah.
and basically kind of control the narrative, and create these situations where noblemen are actively shown to be killing or hurting the lower class.
Yeah. And he wants them to be like particularly shocking moments.
Right. So he wants the actual like he wants the worst moment. He wants the worst of the worst nobility to be shown to the public.
Right.
Um.
And especially from like the highest members of nobility. So it isn't just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we're just sort of scumming the depths of like people already know these are like asshole people, and we're doing like we're showing like, oh yeah, these nobles that you already knew were a dick are doing dickish things. They want to go for like, these are some big name
Shocking event.
names. Yeah.
So that's why like one thing that I was kind of a little annoyed about, but as the episode went further on, I realized that this makes more sense given what Moriarty is planning, is that the nobleman that we've targeted is kind of really fucking annoying and a huge piece of shit. But
Right.
that's kind of the point,
Yeah.
is that you want to target these huge pieces of shit because one, they're easier to control, and two, um, basically it's just the one that's they're the easiest to control.
Right.
And it really kind of shows their point more than if it was just kind of a normal person, kind of maybe slapping a lower class versus actually killing them.
hmm
They want the actual, they want super violent act.
Yeah. And it does sort of
Just
like
cut
tie
everyone off.
into the attitude of the nobility we've seen a lot in this show of like,
They're all awful.
yeah, not only are all of the nobility awful, but they always see themselves like we're a higher being chosen by God to like lead the noble or the lead those
Everyone.
dirty, filthy peasants out of like their ignorance.
Yeah.
Like this is
Um.
very like it's a thing they've shown us several times. So it's like a common viewpoint among the nobility in this show, and
Yeah.
possibly in actual reality. I don't know.
Yeah, probably in actual reality. I wish it wasn't, but it probably is.
Probably.
But we, since we want this violent act, we also just don't want to have some random lower class, working class guy just die. Let's just make it this one murderer
Yeah.
rapist guy.
Yeah,
No one's gonna care if he
that was
dies.
like the weakest point in my opinion. Was like, oh yeah, we've picked this person who like we all know he was gonna die because it's like basically what the show led in with was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have these murders happen. So obviously they had to pick somebody who they'd be okay with getting murdered, but like
Yeah,
they sort of just like gave us a pass and like let's actually like consider the moral implication of what you're doing, and they're like, oh yeah, this guy's like a murderer and rapist. Who cares about him? He deserves to die. And I'm
yeah.
like,
Like I wish Well, it would have been harder to stomach. I wish it would have been like a normal dude.
yeah, I wish it would have been a normal dude, and like it was revealed at the end that like Moriarty came up with some like clever way of he didn't actually die. Like it looked like
Maybe,
he died, but like somehow he lived because Moriarty was like super clever and found some way around it, type of thing.
possibly, but in this case, the dude's fucking dead.
I mean, yeah, the dude just straight up got stabbed in the heart.
Oh, that was the neck. Well, he got stabbed in a lot of places.
He got stabbed in a lot of places. I think the knife ended in his chest, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's heart.
But throughout the episode, basically, Moriarty has basically created these situations, push and push the Nobleman more and more towards this violent act, where Enders like is just starting to like near the edge of his anger. First, some dude in the line outbursts and says, "Hey, you're a fucking piece of shit, dude, for cutting the line."
Yep.
And then some little girl accidentally bumps into him and spills some wine on him. Um,
And he has to eat food close to the peasants because like the
yeah.
noble carriage isn't very far from the peasant carriage and the boat.
And then he's told that his, I think, farm, his collar,
Yeah, his
collar,
cottage and
something burnt down.
something else. There's another
Something,
thing.
yeah, something about like maybe his factory or something he owns is in danger. So now he's basically, at this point, like almost he's at the edge. One more little thing's gonna set him off.
Cause I'm
and what
about to
sets him
break.
off- Yeah, and what the thing that sets him off is just seeing the fat dude that had accosted him in the line earlier. He tells him, "Hey, I'm gonna, pay amends, and I'm gonna give you some, nice booze." He takes him over to his to his
Cabin.
cabin, and then just fucking stabs him, motherfucker.
Yeah. Stabs him with a letter opener in the back, like some sort of fucking wuss, and then stabs him in the front a whole bunch of times. And then
just sits on his dead body.
yeah, sits on his dead body and smokes a cigarette.
He did, make sure that the door was open, but our gang probably fixed that door.
Yeah.
We knew that they knew that this was going to happen. They planned it from the beginning. And now the last piece of this plan is to have Moriarty walk in on the murder.
Yep.
And that's where we end. And with Moriarty's cold red eyes.
And he shows up with a very like non-reaction type of reaction. Like he shows up with a very like, oh well, isn't this the site? Which makes it's like the reaction of like my silence can be purchased. So like I'm assuming that Moriarty's plan is not just I got you to kill him and now I'm gonna make a fuss. There's more to this. This dead body is not just gonna become like a thing immediately. We're gonna slow play this until like I'm assuming the ballet, and something is going to happen at that ballet, I have to assume.
Yes, like there's gonna be an outburst. I'm not sure how it's gonna happen or what exactly the outburst is gonna be. But there's more to the plan than just saying, "Hey, was it Moeller or Manor? Malner? What was the army guy's name?
Oh, Morin.
Morin. Yo, Morin, you're a cop. Look at this guy. He just killed a motherfucker in here.
Yeah.
There's a little more to this. There's more theatrics.
Yeah. Because Moriarty doesn't just want a dead body to show up. He wants the dead body to show up shockingly.
He wants like a huge thing.
Right. And they've played up this like over on the seas ballet enough times where you know that like that dead body is coming out during that ballet somehow. They're gonna like do a ballet about the murder or something, or that body's gonna drop from the rafters. But somehow, some way, Blitz Enders and that dead body are showing up during that ballet.
I cannot wait. But real quick, Blitz Enders is a Gundam name,
Oh, it absolutely is.
and I fucking love it.
It is 100% a Gundam name.
What a cool fucking name, Blitz Enders.
Blitz Enders. If he wasn't such a douchebag, he would be great because his name is fucking top tier.
Right?
Uh,
But how'd you like Sherlock in this? What you've so far, what we've seen him, how'd you like him?
um,
Are you into him right now, or are you
I don't
hoping
know. We
for
haven't
something
seen
a
enough
bit
of
different?
him.
Right.
I think the jury's still kind of out on Sherlock because so
First
far we just
impression,
see him doing his like. I mean, it is a very Sherlock thing of the like. I will look at you for 5 minutes and tell you about what you had for breakfast and what you were doing last night and all of the above. Like, that's a very like on brand for Sherlock type of thing. And he likes to do that just all the time. Like it wasn't I could believe he was doing that for women, even if he didn't care about women, because like that's just a very Sherlock thing to do. It's just like I'm just gonna show everyone how smart I am by doing it all the time. So like I think there's just a lot of Sherlock's character that we have yet to see. Um, they did bring up the whole like he's addicted to morphine, so he's still sort of a hound for fucking
right?
morphine and
I did
chemical
like how
experiments.
they brought that up.
Mm,
It is they aren't shying away from very dark aspects. Sorry,
yeah,
at all. We've
they
already seen that
they
though.
acknowledge like he does a lot of like scientific experiments. Um, he still plays the violin, even though it's not like a huge part of his character. Like a lot of the major like Sherlock's characterization are still
Staples.
there. So I believe that they're still going to keep like who Sherlock is as a part of his thing. He's adept in martial arts, so we'll see. I'm assuming that that's going to become like the cat and mouse part two of this is Sherlock trying to figure out the murder of this guy and like why he was murdered.
And more are trying to get away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Moriarty trying to not have it revealed that like they antagonized this dude into murdering this other guy. Um, so it'll be interesting.
It's a
I
fun way to do a crime because now it's not like if this was from the Sherlock's point of view, um, we wouldn't really see like the backstory behind it.
uh
It would basically start off with Sherlock doing like whatever. Maybe the next scene is going to be him seeing Moriarty and talking to him, and then the scene after that would be there's a dead body somewhere or some other shit that happens. So some stuff building up to ballet. The ballet happens. There's a dead body, and then
yeah,
part two is finding out how that happened, like who killed the dead body, a twist that the guy was antagonized, so who antagonized him and why.
exactly,
Whereas in this, it's we're building up our crime. The crime's committed. Now we have to figure out how to get away.
exactly.
It's very fun.
It is. It's why I'm enjoying both this and Mono no Nana because they're both very
Yeah,
similar. In that like we're seeing it from the perspective of the villain, kind of, or what would be the villain in like a normally uh, viewpointed show.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how because we also haven't seen Watson show up.
Not yet. We haven't seen him in his little like top hat and blonde hair.
Right. So it'll be
Do you
interesting if
see?
Watson shows up with him next episode to do his classic Watson, I'm a little bit slow and dumb act.
Is this an actor? Or is he just is kind of a little slow? Oh well, he's
I
supposed
mean,
to be
he's
like
just not Sherlock fast.
right. He's also supposed to be like the author, or not the author. He's supposed to be a
The
the
uh
reader.
well
Or
not the
wait, wait for
he's the it's essentially written from the perspective of like being Watson's like journals and recollections of Sherlock. So like we see it all from Watson's view because this is like Watson writing about stuff that Sherlock did, like he and Sherlock did
okay.
together. Um so like Watson, he's not slow or like dumb in any way, shape, or form. Like he's very accomplished. He's like a pretty smart
A
guy.
doctor.
Yeah, it's just that like Watson sees things in like the way that the way that we would essentially of like I see some suspicious things, I think some suspicious things. Where with Sherlock, it's like I see something suspicious and then I make 50 like logical jumps to get to what the actual answer is in like 5 seconds. Like I think one of the classic ones from Hound of Baskerville, which I reread recently because I was hoping this was going to be the Hound of Baskerville episode, um, is like, and they reference this in the Sherlock BBC show at the Hound of Baskerville episode, is at one point like Watson sees a butler like signaling from a window with like a candle, And so he's like, "Oh, this butler must be in on it. Like he's secretly signaling to somebody out on the moor with his candle. Like he's clearly like doing some sus shit. Cause like that's where the dog is out on the moor. Like clearly this butler is in on it. And it actually turns out later that like the butler was just signaling to somebody for like a completely unrelated thing. And they reference this in the Sherlock show where like at some point Watson sees like flashing lights out on the moor and he goes to investigate it and it's just people like fucking in a car out on the top of the hill on like the moor. And like it was just a completely unrelated thing. And like that is Watson. Is like I see something, I think something sus about it, and like I try and figure it out myself. And like it doesn't pan out a lot of the times. Where with Sherlock, he would just see the flashing lights and be like, clearly that's people just banging in a car and nothing related to anything.
Probably some bullshit about how it's on a hill. It's a popular dating spot.
Right.
Stuff
It's
like
slightly
that.
misty, so like nobody would see you if you're banging up there. Exactly.
Yeah. That's we'll see if he's introduced next episode, or maybe the episode or the arc after this one.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is just going to be 2 episodes or 3 episodes.
Because we've got Moriarty and his foil in Sherlock, so it'll be nice to have Watson and his foil in Morin. Because they have solid interactions of the two soldiers who are, you know, very opposite each other. So it'll be interesting to see how much our characters interact with each other too. Is the other thing.
Yeah, I find it. So one thing that I found weird in the earlier in the episode where we're talking about Murray's Grandmaster Plan, at least for Morin, I feel like it's weird that he would be willing to kill himself for the cause. I feel like Morin wouldn't be that way.
Probably not realistically.
Right? Yeah.
He was very much a like soldier of fortune type. I forget if he had some sort of like, you know, life debt to Moriarty. Of like, you know, I owe you my life, and so if you need me to die for your cause, I'll die for you. But like, I kind of recall him being more like, I'm looking out for me, and currently I'm making a lot of money working for you, so I'm good with this. But like,
yeah, that's something like I would think more of. He's like he's either doing it for the money or just because he thinks it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm gonna save all the working class people, would be more like, this sounds like fun. I get to shoot people. Fuck it, why not?
Right.
You
get to fucking do a whole bunch of crimes.
Right.
I get to shoot shitty white people. Is that what you said?
Snobby white people.
Oh, snobby white people.
These are the shitty white people too.
I mean, yeah.
I feel like more would be down with that. But that's Moriarty. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else from the book you want to mention?
I don't think so. We didn't really talk about the fact that it's like the ship that they're on is like the Noatic or whatever, and it's all like biblical references to Noah. I mean, there really isn't anything to say about it either. It was it kind of felt like tacked on there of like, really just to give Blitzenders another thing to bring up God and how he was the chosen one of like, oh, this boat is Noah with all of the filthy animals, and I am Noah chosen by God, and all of that. Like, it goes a little bit hard sometimes.
Yeah, they're really playing it up. But there could be a little bit more that happens next episode.
Right.
But who knows?
Yeah. At some point, I kind of just like, you know, they need to take a break with it. Like, I get it. All the noblemen are like, I am chosen by God. I am the righteous one here.
They're slathering it on thick, Nick.
Yeah, at some point they need to like take a break and find another lane to exist in.
But there we have it. That's Moriarty. Well, the Yokugo no Moriarty, aka Moriarty the Patriot. The last show we watched was Akudama Drive.
Yeah.
Which, a fun fact, it's also about, I guess you could say, the villains again.
Yeah.
All of our.
I mean, to be fair, we don't really know like if they are the villains until the end. I mean, they're the villains in the form of they're breaking the law, yes, but like until we know how this all ends and like what's going on with the fucking kids and the underground thing that we're about to go into, like it's hard to say that they are the villains of this story.
Yeah, you could say that. What it shares with Moriarty is that they aren't on the side of law enforcement.
Yeah.
You can't really say that with Nana, I think, because technically I think she might be on the side of law enforcement, just a fucked up version of an even more fucked up version of it.
Right. I mean, yeah, Nana is where Nana and Moriarty are both about like, I'm doing crimes and killing people, even if Nana's is like justified by government. we're putting all that aside, she's still killing kids. Akudama Drive is just like, we rescued these two kids from being in a vault and now we're bringing them to the underground. Like,
Yeah.
realistically, I mean, you could say that, stealing from the train was not Gucci, but like, in the grand scheme of things, they're kind of the ones who were in the right. It was more like they were preventing human trafficking. It's one of those, like, you could see it from both perspectives, is like they were committing the crime of stealing the kids, and at the same time they were doing the right thing in preventing human trafficking. So, like, are they really villains? Who could say?
And as we saw this episode, the executioners don't really give a shit about
Yeah,
the kids.
yeah. But yeah, this is a 22-minute fight episode. There is not a whole lot of plot, and it's basically just a very long fight with the executioner.
Um, yes, but there's a couple of scenes that are kind of important to the characterization of Swindler.
There's a
Specifically
couple.
how, yeah, specifically basically only Swindler too. But and it's basically her and the kids and how she like is protecting them and trying to keep them safe.
Yeah.
That's most of it. Cutthroat stabs the brother through the chest to try to kill
Yeah.
Executioner.
He uses the brother as a human shield and then shoves his hand through the human shield to stab the executioner.
Swindler freaks out, is happy that the kid's alive, but she really freaks out. More so than I would have thought. Which, I mean, if she's a normal person, that makes sense. Like,
yes.
Seeing a kid.
You just saw a kid get gutted.
But something looked a little weird in this episode for me. And that's her eyes looked strikingly familiar to both the kids.
Oh, maybe. I didn't notice that.
But like, I tried to look at the eyes of everyone else. So that might just be a flimsy fucking theory. But there's like just something about the two kids and her that like looked a little too familiar for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. It's just a hunch right now, but I feel like there's something going on with them. So once again, Swindler is like something's wrong. Something's up with Swindler, and I still don't. Not convinced she's 100% like just a normal girl.
I think we just want Swindler to be something other than just like a normal person.
I think we're hyping ourselves up too much. Yes, you're possibly.
I mean, realistically, like we've been picking at like the things they haven't said as like evidence for like, oh, they didn't tell us what Swindler was doing before. She must have some sort of like mysterious past that's going to come up later. Oh, she mentioned something in passing about like having been in the train station before. There must be some reason for that. Like we've been like picking at minor details.
Went to the fucking train at some point.
Yeah, this could be going nowhere. She could just be a regular person who got fucking brought into this.
I'm gonna keep believing.
Yeah.
Until.
I mean, I'm with you. I am full speed on the like Swindler is an executioner undercover or like the ultimate Akudama somehow. But like until we get there,
yeah,
there's some part of me that will still hold in the back of my mind like we could just be on the train to nowhere right now.
But like as a whole, what happens in this episode is, the brother and sister. So the gang gets to the entrance to like the outskirts of Kansai. Executioner shows up. They fight, and then they're able to get away.
After a long fight.
Yeah, after a
long portion of the fight. Courier, Swindler, the two kids, and Doctor bail out on the Courier. And Cutthroat comes with.
Cutthroat also comes with, and they bail out. Brawler.
Yeah, Brawler and Hoodlum get left behind.
Are left behind. Yes. So I think what's happening now is like we're starting to get rid of some of our characters because I don't think Happer's coming back. I think that kid's just got disintegrated into the fucking anti-matter.
Maybe.
Field.
I still think we have him out there to like do something in the end. I don't think he's come back for a while. I still kind of think that somewhere around like episode 10 or 11, once we figure out like what's actually going on with like the Kansai Kanto stuff, he's gonna like come back to like lead them into the other side and like reveal some stuff about what's actually going on there.
Okay, so he's like a little back pocket character, right? He's a little back pocket character.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's gonna be like the way that the show is gonna use, like once we get to, I think Kansai's the good one, or Kanto, I forget which one it is.
Kanto's the good one.
Kanto's the good one? Okay. Yeah. Once they get to Kanto, he's gonna be the way the show, he's gonna be the thing the show will exploit to give us like a mini narrative dump of like, this is what's actually going in Kanto. And it'll like tell us all about it really quickly.
Which is weird because they already have the bunny and the shark for that.
But they're produced by Kansai, so they wouldn't know.
But they're very Kanto, like pro Kanto.
Yeah, but they don't like if there's stuff actually going on in Kanto that like Kanto's keeping secret. The Kansai and the Kansai shark and bunny wouldn't know about it. It's like we
But
wouldn't know until we got there.
the people behind it, I think, would know. That's why they're
Yeah, but they
producing this
wouldn't make a
content.
propaganda film about like Kanto's actually garbage. Everything's bad here.
Wait, but they're not saying that's the case.
But I'm
They're
saying
saying
that like
Kanto's
when we
amazing.
get to Kanto, that's what's gonna like become the case. We're gonna get to Kanto and like the propaganda is gonna be fake. Like none of that's gonna be true, and Hacker's gonna be the one who has to tell us that.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, sorry. Yes, you're right. I see.
Okay.
Why the info dump wouldn't work,
Yeah.
or why the shark and bunny info dump wouldn't work?
Yeah. Okay.
Because that makes sense. Sorry. But anyways, Exterior shows up and there's a bunch of fucking fight scenes. It's Courier and Hacker, Courier and Exterior fight for a bit. Then Curry and Cutthroat gets his legs torn off. Wait, first off, Doctor gets cut in half.
Yeah. Doctor
swings
gets cut in
back,
half.
Fixes up Cutthroat's legs. Cutthroat and Executioner fight for a little bit. Courier gets his bike back, and they dip out. And then Executioner and Brawler fight for a while. They have like a Rocky Balboa or Rocky 4 moment where they both punch each other, and then it comes Ashita and Joe where they both die.
Yep.
And then Hoodlum now he's holding the lightsaber. The Executioner's mentee is also her holding the lightsaber, holding her mentor's lightsaber. And now they may or may not fight. I don't think Hoodlum's gonna fight. I think something's up with that, but we'll
She
see.
gets her eye cut out.
Who?
The girl.
She does? Wait.
Yeah.
Was that like an after scene?
Yeah.
Credit scene?
There's an
Okay,
after
well,
credit
I
scene.
didn't watch it.
Okay. She
there we
wakes
go.
up in the hospital and she's missing one of her eyes. And we see both of the lightsabers like lying on like a table covered in blood.
So, that either means that Hoodlum went with them or threw away the lightsaber and dipped out.
Right.
Because
So
Hoodlum is like this stupid comedic relief character. I think if anyone's going to be, like I think we said this before, but if anyone's going to be the Executioner, it's either Hoodlum or Swindler.
right.
So we'll see next episode if it was actually Hoodlum, and Hoodlum just decided to gouge out this girl's eye for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why he would, because nobody was around to
Right.
see her if he was the Executioner.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this dude, Hoodlum, was just pissed at losing his friend and just fucking took a swing and then bailed.
Right. That's a possibility as well. The more likely one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens next episode.
Mhm.
But yeah, this show really liked its fight scenes.
Yeah.
A lot of, I think we mentioned this before, but this show is like non-stop fucking action, and
It's true.
this episode was like the epitome of that. Just brawling and poking each other's eyes out.
Yep. I mean, it was literally Executioner showed up. I mean, technically at the end of last episode, he showed up, and we just started the fight, and the whole episode was just a fight with like some minor stuff happening on the side.
So minor characterization for
Doctor continues to like threaten Swindler. Swindler bitch slapped Cutthroat at one point, and she was like, "You're disgusting."
I'm surprised Cutthroat wasn't like all about that.
It seems like Cutthroat sees her as like his savior angel type, so like it was less of like a sexual thing and more of like a you just got slapped by God essentially.
It's possible, yeah. Slapped by her angel.
Yeah.
We also get some characterization and like not morality stuff, but like some like lore about the Executioner's partner system with the mentee, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's building up to, but I'm guessing like the mentee might be like one of the final bosses of the show.
I would assume so, yeah.
Right, because like they're really building up her like rage and anger towards the Akudama here. Now she has no eye, so she's Sasuke to her mentor's Kakashi.
Yeah. We also saw that the Executioner had a very like he had like a scar like across his cheek, right?
Didn't he get that because of the fight in the other episode?
Oh, maybe.
I
was just going to say that like in the little bit of like the post-credit scene, the mentee had a very similar scar but across her eye. I don't know if that's going to like come up as like this is their way of saying like now that she has the scar, she's going to become like battle hardened, like Executioner was or something. But it just struck me as a very similar cut that they both had then.
There were a lot of cool parallels, like specifically when when the commissioner is talking about like the partner system. We also get cuts of Hoodlum looking for a brawler in the same way that the Mentee is.
Yeah.
So that was kind of nice. Even though Hoodlum's kind of like this back, like basically the character we focus on like the least, and he's just kind of comedic stuff.
Mhm.
This is kind of a nice little like moment.
Yeah.
Because he actually does care about Brawler, and Brawler's dead now. Most likely.
Almost certainly.
Yeah, I don't see him coming back.
I'd be surprised.
That's one reason why I think Hacker isn't coming back, because I feel like they might start killing off or having their characters leave type of stuff.
Right.
But if Brawler's alive, I'll be a little upset, because this was like a good kind of send off for Brawler. Was fighting Executioner, dying, and cuffsing.
It'll be interesting to see if Courier leaves. I guess technically they're not at the destination yet, so Courier may not leave until they actually get there, but it'll be interesting to see once they reach wherever they're going if Courier will leave.
I think Courier will want to leaves for like an episode, and then comes back. If any character does leave and come back, it'll be Courier. For like, I don't know, because he likes the swimmer for some reason. I don't know.
Right. Because that was the other reveal, was that like the numbers that Courier didn't recognize. He didn't recognize them because they were like underground coordinates. So they weren't just like a longitude, latitude type thing. There is also some amount of distance they have to cover underground before they get to their destination.
And now we're going to that destination, and we'll find out what it is.
Yeah. We got a nice little like the shark and the rabbit thing as well. We talked about them earlier, but there was a nice little thing about like the bomb that destroyed Old Kanto, and there were possibly like underground shelters that people still live in, kind of thing. But that whole lordom, there was something about it that like it just felt creepy this time. Like it came in and like it was sort of like staticky, and it was silent for a second, and like there was just something about it this time where it didn't feel like all upbeat and happy. Like the other ones were always like, you could imagine them as like kid shows. Yeah.
This one was a bit more desaturated.
Yeah, there was something that just felt like sinister about this one.
I didn't feel it that way, but like the one that I think was, for me at least, the most sinister, the most creepy was when I think they're talking about the bomb. I forget what they're talking about. They're talking about something, and then the bunny just looks into the screen and says, "Right," and then it just ends.
Oh yeah, the Kanto production stuff, the Kanto factory.
Oh yeah, they can make anything.
Anything.
Yay!
And then they do their little spin around and handhold and spin around and bow together thing.
Yeah.
That shark and that rabbit. There's something fucking. There's something fucky with those two.
It smells something fucky. You're right. It is a little interesting. But well, yeah, once again, not much else to talk about this episode because, like I said, it's a lot of animation, a lot of fighting, a lot of cool fighting. Like
a lot of cool fighting, yeah.
One of my favorite scenes was Dementi hunched over the dead body of the first executioner of Kakashi, and like her face just looked so nice. Like it looked really nice on my TV. It looked really cool.
It was really good.
Rain and then her crying. It looked really nice. It was a really good show. Really, really cool.
I liked the fight scenes. I liked Brawler throwing the gondola at Executioner, only to end up being in the gondola, and then they had like a little fucking fist fight in the gondola.
That was a little weird. I don't know. I don't get how that happened. Maybe
I don't know. I don't get how it happened, like physically, but just like the implication of like I've pulled you into this gondola, so now we're just gonna beat the shit out of each other from like. I mean that gondola. I mean, realistically, it should not have been that small. Yeah, but that was like. There was like 4 feet total, so like with their bodies in there was like 1 foot between them. So they were just fucking going to town each other. That was Thunderdome right there.
My favorite part of that fight scene actually wasn't like the fight at all. It was the lights on the Ferris wheel.
Okay.
Fucking awesome. The lighting, the lighting, it looks great. From like the city, or like the weird lights in the fucking quarantine zone. And then the city, and then the lights in this like decrepit, broken down city as well.
Yeah,
looks phenomenal.
And we talked about the lighting in the other 2 shows, but those have been like how they use
stylistic lighting,
stylistic lighting or like stylistic color choices.
Yeah,
this is like proper lighting of the scene with like natural light.
not natural light. Well, yeah, but like
I
the
mean,
way
natural light
you,
in the implication of like in universe light.
yeah, and the way you like put light and the way you show it on the screen.
Yeah, this is done. Yeah, this is using like lighting in universe to create all of its scenes and all of its like drama. And I mean, it does look really good. They've created some beautiful fucking sets for some of these fights. But yeah, now we're going into the underground. We're going to explore the subway system, find out what's going on with the mole people. And
Also, something we didn't really mention, but we should have. Brother has weird healing powers
oh yeah,
and like had electricity running through him.
right.
So
They've got like regeneration shit going on.
if anyone's a replicant, for sure it's brother. Probably Korea as well.
Oh yeah, probably also the sister because she said
Yep,
something about like, oh
of
yeah,
course.
it's okay if we get hurt because the implication of because we'll regenerate.
Yeah.
So they are
Uh,
almost certainly not real people. Kurt
well,
is
they
who?
could be
They could be. They
define real
could be.
people.
Yeah.
They could be modified.
We you asked me this last time, and I defined it as like, you know, not made in a factory people.
Oh yes, yes, sir. Okay. People made in a factory could be real people. Anyways, let's
Don't
not
you
get into
start
that.
with me.
That's for when we talk about Blade Runner some time in the future.
Next, you're gonna say it's okay for frogs to be gay.
Return the frog's gay. God, what a fucking idiot. So Nick, I feel like this is the end of what we'd want to talk about because I don't think there's anything else I'd want to mention.
I would agree.
I've mentioned all the points I wanted to.
Yeah.
So let's move on. What do you want to sell out to?
This week I am going to sell out to something I brought up a week or two ago. I'm going to sell out to the video game called Control. It is a action RPG, is I guess the best way to describe it, but it has to do with like this supernatural events going on in this bureau called the Bureau of Control, which basically is like a federal organization created to collect and categorize supernatural events that were going on around the world or around
Oh, like
the country.
SCP.
Yeah, and so it is. I mean, it's a beautiful game. The way they like create the world, and like the way they create these items and talk about them in the context of like real world events in U.S. history, because it's not in like an alternate timeline where like supernatural events actually happen. Like the implication is these are real, like these are the real events with these real supernatural items that like they put in place to like explain certain things. And so
Like
to bring
Roswell?
one up, they Roswell, I don't know. There's a lot of uh document lore that is there that I've been reading a decent amount of because it's actually really interesting. But the one that I recognized immediately was the Skinwalker Ranch, because
Ah,
part of the like documentation is these like hunter teams essentially going around like looking for supernatural events or like reports of supernatural events and going to find out if there are actually supernatural things going on there. Because a lot of them are fake, a lot of them are just people seeing things. And so one of the documents was like, oh yeah, we went to this place and it was fake. We went to this place, it was fake. And I want to stop going to fake places all the fucking time. Like find real stuff for us to go investigate. By the way, we're on the way to this ranch, and they name, I think it's the Sherman Ranch, which is
yeah.
the name of the Skinwalker Ranch.
Mhm.
So like they are actually bringing in like real world events and like real world supernatural sightings into the lore and like incorporating it as like some of this stuff was actually going on and it was just controlled by the Bureau of Control.
So,
So
did they mention the Phoenix Lights from 1990s?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not super like well read on like all of the actual supernatural events. There are a lot of documents though. It's very interesting though. It's a really cool game. Um, it's it's just a fun balance of like supernatural stuff with like the RPG elements and like the video gameness of it. It's great for the lore. It's a really fun game. I fully recommend it. If you're into supernatural stuff and you're into video games and you're into RPGs, I fully recommend it. So it's called Control. Shout out to the game.
Coolio.
What would you like to
Um,
sell it to?
I'm gonna sell it to Yakuza. I can't sell out to Yakuza Like a Dragon because I haven't played it yet. I'm probably gonna play it this week
Hmm.
because it seems like a fun game. But I have played the first couple hours of Yakuza Zero, and I fucking loved it. The humor in the game, the writing is just so wacky and fun. It
Yep.
can be very like heart wrenching one moment, very touching and then just completely fucking bananas the next. One moment you're trying to help a kid being bullied, the next one you're trying to help a dominatrix be a better dominatrix, and then another one just playing Mario Kart, and it's so much fun. Looking for all of like the different subquests is interesting. Talking to everyone, like the world is just so filled with stuff that it feels just great. Even though like it's kind of a small world, there's always like kind of knickknacks and things to interact with and people to talk to. As opposed to Skyrim, which is a massive world, you're basically really just walking for like 10-20 minutes stretch of time to get to like the next interesting point. For Yakuza, you walk 1 minute and then you're in an encounter. You walk another minute, you're in another encounter. You walk another minute, you're at the quest you wanted to be at the beginning. You finish that and then you can move on to something different. It's really fantastic in that sense, and I like it. I can't wait to play Like a Dragon because it's more of a RPG, and I like those. I like turn-based RPGs. Some people don't, and that's okay. The other Yakuzas are more action, standard. They're kind of the fights are kind of like Batman Arkham Asylum, where it's just 2 buttons, beating shit at people.
Yeah,
very fun games.
I never thought of it in terms of like the Skyrim, relation to time.
Yeah.
Because like in Yakuza 1, 0, 1, 2, the original Yakuzas that I played at least, like fights are very frequent, like you said, where like you fight, you walk a little bit, you fight, and you fight like every minute or so, like as you're walking around. But like in the context of like the amount of time you're walking around, because like the maps aren't huge, like it's probably about the same time of, like if you're playing Skyrim, it's like I'm on the way to a destination and like on the way I like take a break to go explore some camp or some little dungeon or some statue, and like there's always somebody there of like I walk for 10 minutes and then I explore something, and then I walk for 10 more minutes and I explore something else, and I walk for 10 more minutes and then I get there. Where like there's always stuff to do along the way. With Yakuza, like they've condensed the world, so they also condense like how frequently stuff appears in the world. Where like you walk 1 minute and then there's like a side quest or a fight or something else.
Well, there's something a bit different as well. So the areas in Skyrim, sometimes there's like stretches of area where there's just literally nothing to do.
That's true. Yeah, that does happen.
I know Day9 talked about this when he was playing the Zelda game, Symphony of Seasons, the new one, not the new one, but the remake. With the one where you're talking to the big bird with the egg. Okay. In that game, each like zone, there's a secret that you can find, and there's something you can do in each of the zones, even if it's kind of like big path. Each like little zone is completely different from every other zone that you get that you go into. Like each little quadrant, there's always something there.
Okay.
In Skyrim, you can't really say that. There's like basically you could like there's the plains, like to the west of Whiterun. There's actually like it's not really filled with a lot of stuff. There's like a couple of caves. Like there's another zone which is filled with like more caves along the path, but like those plains is basically just stretches of nothing for a while. And I like Skyrim, but like that maybe condensing it a bit would have been a bit more of a better experience other than just walking for a bit, hoping you find something. As opposed to in Zelda, like the next little piece you get to, the next new area, there's something there. You have to find it. You have to solve a little puzzle. You have to search for something. You have to find clues, all that stuff. And something similar with Yakuza as well. Like you go into in this little alcove in the street, you can almost always talk to someone.
Yeah.
And then find a way into some quest.
Yep.
There you go. Yakuza for you. I like it.
Yeah. There you go. We've sold it to video games today. Control and Yakuza. Brennan might sell it to Like a Dragon in 2 to 3 weeks after he finishes it, and he will forget that he's sold out to Yakuza already. And so will I.
They're different games. They're different games. Just because they're the same franchise, it doesn't mean the same game.
I'm just calling it now. This will happen. I won't remember this. Neither will Brandon, but it'll happen. But thanks for being here. Even though you're never here because nobody's here. We're never here anymore. I don't even watch these anymore.
You can't because I haven't uploaded them yet.
Yeah, Brandon has also not uploaded the last 4.
I'll finish them tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, most of them are. That's a conversation for a different time. Thanks for listening.